Talmud Bavli, Tractate Beitzah, page 12b, top of the page with the words Mishum Habara, due to the prohibition of kindling a fire on a festival. Rabbi Yochanan said to that Tana, leave and teach it outside. In other words, this bride is not fit for discussion in the study hall. The opinion that there is a prohibition against kindling and cooking on a festival is not a Mishnah worthy of serious consideration. And if you say that it is a Mishnah rather than an error, the statement is still not in accordance with the halakha, as it is following the opinion of Beit Shammai, who say, we do not say since carrying out was permitted on a festival for the purposes of food preparation, it was also permitted when performed not for these purposes. Here too, we do not say since kindling was permitted on a festival for the purposes of food preparation, it was also permitted when performed not for these purposes. The Gemara explains why the Beitzah cannot be attributed to Beit Hillel. If one were to suggest that this Beitzah follows the opinion of Beit Hillel, this cannot be the case. As they say, since carrying out was permitted for the purposes of food preparation, it was also permitted when performed not for these purposes. Here too, since kindling was permitted for the purposes of food preparation, it was also permitted when performed not for these purposes. Therefore, according to the opinion of Beit Hillel, kindling cannot be included amongst those prohibitions for which one is liable on a festival. New Mishnah. The Mishnah says the separation of challah is permitted on a festival, as one is permitted to prepare dough and bake it on a festival. And bread may not be eaten without first separating challah. Beit Shammai say one may not bring separated challah or any of the other priestly gifts. In other words, the foreleg, the jaw, and the maw of a slaughtered animal to a priest on a festival, though it is permitted to separate them from an animal slaughtered on a festival. This is prohibited regardless of whether they were separated last evening, in other words, before the festival, or whether they were separated today and Beit Hillel permit it. Beit Shammai said to Beit Hillel, this halakha can be derived by an analogy. Challah and the other gifts are both considered a gift to the priest. And likewise, truma separated from produce is also a gift to the priest. Just as you agree that one may not bring truma to a priest on a festival, so too one may not bring the other gifts. Beit Hillel said to them, no, this analogy is incorrect. If you said that you derive the halakha from truma, where its separation is not allowed on the festival, how will you say the same with regard to the gifts from an animal or challah concerning which their separation is allowed on the festival? Since it is not prohibited to separate these gifts, they may likewise be brought to a priest. Gemara. The Talmud says, it enters your mind to explain that when the Mishnah states they were separated today, it means from animals slaughtered today. And the phrase they were separated last evening is referring to animals slaughtered last evening. The Gemara asks, if so, whose opinion is expressed in the Mishnah? It is not Rabbi Yossi nor Rabbi Yehuda, but the opinion of Acherim, as it is taught in the Tosefta that Rabbi Yehuda said, Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel did not dispute with regard to gifts separated on the eve of a festival, that one may bring them to a priest on a festival day itself, along with gifts separated that day from those animals slaughtered that day. They disputed only the halacha of bringing gifts separated the day before by themselves. As Beit Shammai say, one may not bring these gifts by themselves, and Beit Hillel say, one may bring them. And Beit Shammai would reason as follows. Challah and gifts from a slaughtered animal are a gift to the priest, and Truma is a gift to the priest. Just as one may not bring Truma to a priest on a festival, so too one may not bring the other gifts. Beit Hillel said to them, no. Granted, if you said so with regard to Truma, the reason is that separation is not allowed on a festival. But how will you say the same with regard to the other gifts, concerning which separation is allowed on the festival? It is therefore permitted to bring these gifts to a priest as well. This is Rabbi Yehuda's interpretation of the dispute between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, according to which Beit Shammai prohibit bringing even gifts separated on the festival itself. Rabbi Yossi said, that is not the correct record of the dispute, as Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel did not dispute about the fact that one may bring the gifts from an animal to a priest on a festival. They disputed only with regard to Truma. As Beit Shammai say, one may not bring it, and Beit Hillel say, one may even bring Truma. And Beit Hillel would reason as follows. Challah and gifts are a gift to the priest, and Truma is a gift to the priest. Just as one may bring the other gifts on the festival, so too one may bring Truma. Beit Shammai said to them, no. If you said so with regard to the other gifts concerning which their separation is allowed on the festival, will you say the same with regard to Truma, whose separation is not allowed? Acherim say that the dispute was as follows. Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel did not dispute with regard to Truma, that one may not bring it to a priest on a festival. They disputed only in the case of the other gifts. As Beit Shammai say, one may not bring the other gifts, and Beit Hillel say, one may bring them. The Gemara proposes, let us say that the mission is only in accordance with the opinion of Acherim, and not in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara does not even suggest that the Mishnah might be in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, as it is clear that it cannot be reconciled with his explanation. Rava said, it is taught in the Mishnah, they were separated that day and were slaughtered that day. No, it teaches they were separated, and actually the Mishnah should be explained as follows. They were slaughtered last evening and separated today, which is exactly what Rabbi Yehuda said. The Gemara asks, if so, let us say that the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and not in accordance with the opinion of Acherim. The Gemara rejects this. Even if you say that the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Acherim, it can still be claimed that, in their opinion, Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel disputed the case of these animals that were slaughtered last evening, not those slaughtered on the festival. The Gemara asks, if so, this is the same opinion as that of Rabbi Yehuda, What then is the difference between the opinions of Rabbi Yehuda and Acherim? The Gemara answers the practical difference between them is with regard to secondary gifts. If one has gifts separated before a festival, is he permitted to join them as secondary gifts along with others separated on the festival and transport them together to a priest? Rabbi Yehuda maintains that secondary gifts may be brought to a priest, according to the opinion of Beit Hillel, whereas Acherim prohibited. With regard to the dispute cited in the Tosefta, Rabbi Yehuda said that Shmuel said the halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara relates Rav Tovi, son of Rabbi Nechemiah, had a bottle of Truma wine. He came before Rav Yosef and said to him, "What is the halacha with regard to bringing this wine to a priest now, on a festival?" Rav Yosef said to him, "This is what Rav Yehuda said, and Shmuel said. The halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, who maintains that Beit Hillel permit one to bring Truma to a priest on a festival, and the halacha is in accordance with their opinion." The Gemara relates the host of Rava, son of Rav Chanan, had bundles of unprocessed mustard, whose seeds remained in their stems. He said to his guest, the sage, "What is the halacha with regard to crushing these mustard stalks and eating them on a festival?" Rava, the son of Rav Chanan, did not have an answer readily available, so he came before Rava to ask his opinion. Rava said to him that it was taught one may husk kernels by rubbing them between one's fingers, and one may likewise crush legumes on a festival. This statement indicates that it is permitted to crush mustard stalks. Abai raised an objection to Rava from a Beitzah. In the case of one who husks kernels of grain on Shabbat Eve, on the following day, on Shabbat itself, he may winnow the chaff in an irregular manner by passing the kernels from hand to hand and then eat them. However, one may not do so neither by means of a basket, that is occasionally used for sorting and separating the chaff, nor with a large vessel. With regard to one who husks kernels of grain on a festival eve, on the following day he may winnow a little grain at a time and eat, even with a tray or a large vessel. However, he may not do so with a tablet, nor with a winnow, nor with a sieve. Since these vessels are designed for winnowing, they are used only for large quantities, and therefore it will appear as though you were preparing for after the festival, which is certainly prohibited. In any case, the wording of the Beitzah indicates, on a festival eve, yes, one may husk or crush legumes. On the festival itself, no, it is prohibited to do so. The Gemara refutes this. Even if you say that it is permitted on a festival, the Beitzah can be understood. The reason is as follows. Since he taught in the first clause of the Beitzah on Shabbat Eve, as husking grain may not be performed on Shabbat itself, for it might lead to a prohibited labor on Shabbat, he also taught in the latter clause on a festival eve. However, this does not mean that rubbing or crushing legumes is prohibited on the festival itself. Abai raises a difficulty against the opinion of Rava from a different angle. If you say so, we have thereby found a case of Truma, for which separation is allowed on a festival before being rubbed The grains of wheat were certainly not fit to be eaten, and therefore there was no obligation to separate truma from them. Now that one has prepared them as food by rubbing them, he is obligated to separate truma from them. And if one is permitted to eat them, he must be permitted to separate truma from them first. And we learned explicitly in the Mishnah, no, if you said that you derive the halacha from truma, where its separation is not allowed on the festival, this statement indicates that even Beit Hillel agree that one may not separate truma of any kind on a festival. Lo kashya. The Gemara answers and refutes this challenge. This is not difficult.